Hello students. So in the last lecture basically we have tried to understand the electrical property of metal based on Drude theory, and we also recognized that in addition to its a success, it has several drawbacks, and because of that we need more improved theory to understand the electrical properties of semiconductors and insulators also. So as the Drude assumed that all electrons are free, okay, and they are not interacting with each other, okay, and that is like a free electron gas. He treated the valence electrons as free electron gas or sea of free electrons. But the Fermi and Dirac, the scientists, they proposed that the electrons is not free, okay, but it is a quantum particles, and therefore they are not free to move all over the lattice, but they assume that there is a distribution of electrons at different energy levels, okay, and we have also seen that the Drude theory is not taking care of temperature, and the resistance of the material will remain same for all temperature according to that theory. But Fermi and Dirac, they in their statistical distribution of energy, they treated this factor temperature, and therefore this is more accurate theory to understand the electrical properties of materials, because these values calculated by using this theory is in good match with the experimental results. As you can see, now I'm not going in the detail how this Fermi energy distribution equation has come, but we can see that the Fermi energy, the function, okay, the Fermi Dirac distribution function is represented as f small f, and in the suffix it is fd, that is a Fermi Dirac distribution function, and it is a function of energy. So in bracket we have given E because it is a function of energy. So how this distribution depends is equal to 1 upon small e raised to exponential, it is an exponential function. So 1 upon e raised to e minus ef, capital E minus capital EF, divided by kt plus 1. Okay, so this is the Fermi Dirac distribution function, okay, and it is basically representing how the energy of electrons distribute as a function of energy levels and temperature. Okay, so as you can see in the equation, fd of E is equal to 1 upon e raised to capital E minus EF divided by kt plus 1. So in this equation, basically E, capital E, is the energy levels, okay, E is the energy, EF is called as Fermi energy, EF is called as Fermi energy. Now what is Fermi energy? So that is the, so just consider that, okay, that the energy is increasing, which is given on the x-axis. So you can see here, okay, so here basically you can see that this is a curve, okay, and this is a graph where the x-axis is represented with the symbol E, that is the energy, and the y-axis is given as the Fermi-Dirac distribution f of E. Okay, so now depending upon the value of kT, the value of temperature, the Fermi-Dirac distribution is going to change. Okay, now what is EF? We are talking about EF. EF is the Fermi energy. Fermi energy is nothing but the highest occupied energy by an electron. Okay, so EF is the highest energy level with which electron can occupy in the system, right? When it is possible, when the temperature T, okay, is equal to 0 Kelvin, okay, then the exactly energy E is becomes EF, right? Okay, so that is what, because of that, and for that temperature when T is equal to 0 Kelvin and the energy is exactly equal to E is equal to EF, the Fermi-Dirac distribution become 1. Okay, when the energy is varying from 0 to EF. Above EF, the at exactly 0 Kelvin, the Fermi-Dirac distribution becomes 0, right? So as you can see on the y-axis, the Fermi-Dirac distribution can have values in the range of 0 to 1. Okay, as lowest as it can have the value of 0, as high as it can go to 1. Okay, so that value is depends, the Fermi-Dirac distribution value is depend on the value of temperature, because Kb is the Boltzmann's constant and this is a constant term, so temperature is going to decide the value of Fermi-Dirac distribution. So EF is called as the Fermi energy. Now when E is equal to EF, when the energy on the x-axis is exactly equal to EF, then as I said, the exponential term is 1 and therefore the Fermi-Dirac distribution is become 1 when the temperature is exactly 0, right? If the temperature is changing, okay, so when E is equal to EF and the exponential term become 1, so the maximum value, okay, is given as, so ideally you can see that ideally it should be like a square. Okay, ideally it should be, it goes to a straight line. Okay, and when E is equal to EF, it goes down to 0, right? This is ideally, but it has some temperature. Okay, it has some, if it has some temperature, then you can see that when E is equal to EF, the exponential term is 1 and therefore the Fermi-Dirac distribution is equal to 1/2. 1 divided by 1 plus 1, that is 1/2. Okay, and in the limit as T tends to 0, because the temperature T, okay, if it tends to 0, then we have two possibilities. Okay, if the temperature is not equal to 0, then we have for Fermi-Dirac distribution, the value of Fermi-Dirac distribution is 1/2 when E is equal to EF. But if the temperature tends to 0, okay, if the temperature tends to 0, then we have two possibilities, that is, if E is greater than EF, then Fermi-Dirac distribution is equal to 1 divided by e raised to infinite plus 1 and it become 0, right? So when the temperature is 0 and if the energy is greater than EF, then the Fermi-Dirac distribution become exactly 0. But if the energy is below EF, then, and even in that case, if the temperature is tends to 0 Kelvin, then the Fermi-Dirac distribution will be 1. So at exactly 0 Kelvin, it will be either 0 if the energy is greater than EF, or it will be 1 if the energy is less than EF. But for all other temperatures, for energy E is equal to EF, its value will be 1 half. Its value will be 1 half if the energy is exactly EF. But if the energy is above EF, then its value will gradually tends towards 0 from zero point 0.5 to 0, right? And if the energy is less than EF for T which is not equal to 0, then as we are going below the Fermi energy, it's the Fermi Dirac distribution, the value of Fermi Dirac distribution is gradually increases and reaches to 1. So this is the distribution of electrons. This is the distribution of electrons which is temperature dependent, On the right hand side you can see that the same thing is shown, where the effect of temperature on distribution of electron is given. So here you can see this is basically probability of electrons with energy E. Okay, distribution of electrons E is equal to 1 divided by 1 plus exponential E minus EF upon KT. Okay, the same function as we have discussed. And in this figure you can see that when the temperature is not equal to 0 Kelvin, that is above 0 Kelvin, okay, when the temperature is above 0 Kelvin, then the electrons which are lying below the Fermi energy, now they start to occupy the energy levels which are above the Fermi energy. Okay, at exactly 0 Kelvin, the electron can occupy the energy level which is equivalent to EF. But we are talking about the room temperature. We are talking about the temperature which is higher than 0 Kelvin. So in that case, as we are increasing the temperature, more and more number of electrons, they start to occupy the energy levels which are present above the Fermi energy. Okay, so this is the Fermi Dirac distribution which is temperature dependent. So based on this Fermi Dirac theory and Fermi energy, okay, we can also calculate the conductivity of the materials. So the Fermi energy is the energy of the conduction electrons in the highest energy level have at T is equal to 0 Kelvin. When T is exactly 0 Kelvin, the electron which occupy the highest energy level, to that level we call that this is the Fermi energy level. For sodium, the Fermi energy is 3.15 electron volt. Okay, so if you take the example of sodium, so for sodium the Fermi energy, okay, it is 3.15 electron volt. Therefore, the Fermi energy EF is equal to 1 half mVF square. Now, what is VF? We also, because we are defining a Fermi energy, we can also define it in terms of Fermi velocity, because the electrons which are present in the Fermi level have Fermi velocity. So EF is equal to 1 half mVF square. Okay, so this is a very well-known kinetic energy equation. Hence, for sodium, we know the value of Vf, which is in the range of 1.06 into 10 raised to 6 meter per second. This indicates that even at absolute zero, the electron travel with high speed, because when we are talking about Fermi energy, the Fermi energy for sodium is 3.15 electron volt. Okay, so that energy is present when the temperature is 0 Kelvin, right? And if we know this energy and we know the mass of the electron, then from the equation EF is equal to 1 half mVF square, we are able to calculate the value of Vf. We are able to calculate the value of Vf, that is the Fermi velocity. So that Fermi velocity for sodium comes in the range of 10 raised to 6 meter per second. So this is the velocity of electrons, okay, which are moving in the sodium when the temperature is 0 Kelvin. So that's why you can see that even at absolute 0 Kelvin, the electrons travels with very high speed. And based on this theory, if we know the value of Vf, okay, then we are able to calculate the conductivity by using the Fermi-Dirac prediction. So conductivity based on Fermi-Dirac prediction is given as sigma is equal to n E square L divided by m Vf. Okay, so here n is the electron density, number of electrons, E is the charge of electron, L is the length of this mean free path length, m is the mass of the electron, and Vf is the Fermi velocity. So once we know the Fermi velocity, then we are also able to calculate the value for conductivity. Okay, so just in terms of semiconductors, we know that there is a band, okay, where there is a valence band and conduction band. Okay, how these bands are formed, okay, how the bands are formed, that we will see in our next lecture. But just assume that we have the bands, and there is a gap in for the energy where there is no energy levels are present, which is called as a band gap. Okay, so we have a valence band and conduction band, and there is a gap in between these two, which is called as a band gap. Now here you can see that again, just to imagine you in a better way, okay, you can see that the x-axis now here is represented with Fermi Dirac distribution function, that is f of E, and the y-axis is represented with the energy. Okay, so now you can see that when the temperature is absolutely at 0 Kelvin, okay, absolute 0 Kelvin, then all the electrons they occupy the valence band and no electron is present in the conduction band. So the maximum electrons that can occupy the energy level is called as Fermi level. Okay, that is what the first left hand side image is indicating. The middle image, what it is showing, there is a slightly we increase the temperature. Okay, slightly we increase the temperature, then some of the electrons have energy above the Fermi level, and this is because of the Fermi Dirac distribution. Okay, so some of the electrons they occupy the energy levels above the Fermi level. Okay, and if again we increase the temperature further, then we realize that at room temperature, which is sufficiently high temperature compared to the 0 Kelvin, a large number of electrons they occupy in the conduction band. Okay, so you can see that this is the examples for silicon and germanium kind of thing. Here you can again see that for silicon we have a valence band and conduction band, and in case of silicon the band gap is 1.09 electron volt. Okay, so this is the energy which we need to overcome to shift an electron from the valence band to the conduction band. Okay, and because silicon is a semiconductor, its Fermi level lies in between the valence band and conduction band. Okay, so when the temperature is exactly 0 Kelvin, okay, no electrons are present in the conduction band, all electrons are present in the valence band, and all the energy, all the electrons have the energy which is below the Fermi level because the temperature is exactly 0 Kelvin. But at 300 Kelvin, which is near to room temperature, you can see that because of this additional energy which is get absorbed by these electrons, some of the electrons they occupy the energy levels which are present in the conduction band, and therefore some of the holes they remain in the valence band. So you can see that some black dots they are present in the conduction band, and some white circles are observed in the valence band. So these white circles are nothing but the holes, and the black colored dots they are nothing but the electrons which occupy the energy levels which is above the Fermi energy level. Now if we compare the situation of silicon with germanium, we can see that for germanium also a semiconducting material, and its a band gap lies in the range of 0.72 electron volt. Now here you can see that again for 0 Kelvin no electron is present in the conduction band, and all electrons are present in the valence band, but at 300 Kelvin large number of electrons can occupy the energy levels which are present in the conduction band. Okay, now if you compare the silicon and germanium, you can see that because the band gap of germanium is less than silicon, large number of electrons they occupy in the energy levels on the conduction band. Okay, so this is the distribution of electrons which is temperature dependent. Okay, and it is also representing that because of this room temperature there are electrons which are present in the conduction band, and they are responsible for the semiconductivity, the electrical conductivity of these semiconducting materials. So this was the effect of the temperature. Now we are going to see what is the distribution of electrons if under the applied external electric field. Okay, so for that this we are going to understand based on a curve which is called as an EK diagram. Okay, so E is the energy, okay, and K is a wave vector, or you can call it as a momentum of electrons. Okay, so if there are empty energy states above the Fermi level, then in the presence of an external electric field there is a redistribution of the electron occupation of the energy levels, right? So when on the left hand side you can see this image. Okay, on the left hand side there is an EK diagram. Okay, so E is an energy levels on the y-axis is given, x-axis is nothing but the momentum, or you can say a wave vector, okay, which is associated with the electron. Now as you can see as the K is increasing, the energy is also increasing. Now when there is no electric field is applied, okay, when there is no electric field, when electric field is exactly 0, then the energy, all the electrons which are present in the EK, they can maximum reach up to EF. So the distribution of the electrons on the left hand side and right hand side, or you can say that the distribution of electrons in the first quadrant and second quadrants is remains same. Okay, there is no change, right? But if you apply an electric field, okay, then you can see that the situation has got change. Okay, because we have applied an electric field, the electrons which are present in this material experience a force, right? They experience a force, and because of that force some of the electrons they start to occupy the energy levels which are above the Fermi energy. Okay, so if we want to take the electron above the Fermi energy, then we have to either supply energy in the form of temperature, or we have to supply the energy in the or we have to apply a force in terms of an electric field. So force which is experienced by an electron in this case is force is equal to mass into acceleration, which is equal to E, capital E into small e. So here capital E bar is nothing but the externally applied electric field, and small e is charge of the electron. Okay, so this is the way that we are able to change the electrical conductivity of materials by changing the temperature or by changing external applied electric field. Now let us try to understand the origin of resistance. Okay, now as we have already discussed that the based on the Drude theory of electrical conductivity, we realized that the resistance is basically opposed to the flow of electron, and that comes because of the scattering centers, right? You remember that, right? So there is a scattering centers which are present in the material. Now what are the sources of electron scattering? Okay, which are the things which can hamper this flow of electrons? So the first is thermal vibration. Okay, because all the material we are operating at room temperature, so definitely it has some phonons. Okay, it has phonons. Second is solute or impurity atoms. Okay, so there are some impurities are present, some additional material if you add in that material, then its conductivity has got changed. For example, now gold is much have better conductivity than copper, but if you add copper in gold, then the conductivity of gold is going to change, because copper act as a scattering center for gold. The third is defects. So defects can be belongs to dislocations or grain boundaries. Okay, so these are the obstacles for the flow of electron. So all these basically contribute to the resistance. Okay, so some material has resistance. So why it has resistance is because of these several factors. So let us try to understand one by one. So what is the effect of thermal scattering? So at 0 Kelvin, the atomic vibration scatter electron, and therefore it is called as a photon scattering, which is this happens for the temperature which is above the 0 Kelvin. Okay, so as we are increasing the temperature, the conductivity goes down, right? And why? Because the resistivity, that is the resistance, is going up, right? So because a higher temperature is giving higher phonon scattering, and higher phonon scattering will reduce the electrical conductivity, but it increase the thermal conduct but it increase the resistivity. So for low temperature, the mean free path is proportional to 1 upon T cube in terms of mean free path, and in terms of mean free time, it is proportional to 1 over T cube. Okay, so mean free path and mean free time, they are directly proportional to each other, and they have similar relation with the inverse temperature at low temperature. But at higher temperature it changes. So for higher temperature, their variation, the mean free path is proportional to 1 over T. It changes with respect to 1 over T. Okay, so it is inversely proportional, and the similar behavior is observed for tau, which is proportional to 1 over T, that is the mean free time. And because of these two, as we have discussed, as the temperature is increased, the resistivity goes up and the conductivity goes down. Now how impurity is going to affect the resistance? So the resistivity of alloy is higher than that of pure metal at all temperature. You can see the figure here, where the x-axis is temperature and y-axis is resistivity. If you take a pure copper, okay, pure copper in the sense that has the lowest density of imperfections, then you can see that as you are decreasing the temperature, from 300 Kelvin towards the 0 Kelvin, then its resistivity is going down. Okay, its resistivity is going down. It tends to 0, but it will not become exactly 0, but it tends near to 0 at 0 Kelvin. And if you add some impurity like 2% of nickel, if you add 2% of nickel in the copper, pure copper, then what happens? Even at 0 Kelvin, its resistivity is higher, right? So there is a contribution of temperature and impurity. Okay, by taking the material to 0 Kelvin, we are nullifying, we are minimizing the contribution of temperature. So if we want to understand the presence or the effect of impurity on the resistivity, then we try what we did, we minimize the temperature to 0 Kelvin. So even at 0 Kelvin, you can see that because of impurity scattering, the resistivity has got increased. If you increase the concentration of the impurity, that is 3% nickel, again the resistivity is increased. Okay, so these nickel act as a scattering centers when it is added in the pure copper. Okay, so this is the effect. So the increase in the resistivity is proportional to the amount of alloying element added. If you add more nickel, more more impurity scattering will happen, and because of that the resistivity goes up. So net resistivity is equal to thermal resistivity plus resistivity due to impurity scattering. So it is not only because of temperature, but because of thermal scattering. Okay, so we will stop here. We will see the formation of band in the next lecture. Thank you.